I started using the word commitment a few years back because I saw the difference between the people that were really committed to doing planning on an ongoing basis and the people that kind of like the idea of it.
Let's dive right into the show for today, and it's matching your financial resources to your family goals. So, Rocco, what's the number one secret to doing just that?
The number one secret is identifying and creating a financial plan. So knowing what's really important to yourself from a financial standpoint. So step one, and probably the most important thing, is the commitment to develop a strategic financial plan.
And by commitment, break that down, right? Because that could be interpreted in a couple different ways. But what are the more successful clients that you work with? What is it about their commitment, and what does that look like in step-by-step action?
I started using the word commitment a few years back because I saw the difference between the people that were really committed to doing planning on an ongoing basis and the people that kind of like the idea of it, but weren't really committed to it. And the people that were committed to it did significantly better than the ones that kind of had one foot in, one foot out, or that weren't really clear on their overall plans. And so people that are saying, okay, everybody's thinking, oh yeah, I have a financial plan, or I'd like to do a financial plan. But the people that say they're going to do it, show up to the meetings, get all the data together, do what's required of them, their must-dos, those are the ones that really knock the ball out of the park.
What's the biggest false belief for those who are maybe not as committed as they should be? What's the one thing you're going to help them overcome?
That they haven't done everything as good as they thought they have. We've sat with lots of people that said, I've done everything the way I should do it. I know how I'm all laid out. I know how I'm allocated. I've done a great job. Everything is fine. And once you start peeling back the onion, many times they've missed many parts of the most important areas of the financial plan. Even a simple thing, I have a little story to tell you. I'm not sure if we have time to kind of discuss it, but even things as simple as beneficiary updates. There was a case that I heard of where a guy, in his early 20s, got a job working, I think, at General Electric, gets married to his high school sweetheart, sets up his pension accounts and things like that, signs off on his beneficiary to his wife. Year later, so the guy has a great career at GE, and a year later, his marriage didn't work out with his high school sweetheart, moves on. 10 years later, gets remarried. 40 years later, he retires from GE, passes away suddenly, unfortunately, right after he retires. And as the company sent in all of their documents to get the pension payouts, what ended up by happening was that because the guy never changed his beneficiary from his first wife from 40 years ago, his first wife, they called the first wife and said, obviously there was a misunderstanding here. They thought it was a big joke, like, oh, obviously the person's going to understand. And it happened to be over $4 million worth of securities and assets. And she said, well, listen, second wife, I was the first wife. He wanted me to have it, obviously, because he had 40 years to change it, and he never did. And so, that somebody that thinks that they have all the beneficiaries in line, you need to look at all these different things, and you need to look at them on an ongoing basis because anything can happen.
Wow, what a story! That would be a challenging phone call to receive for sure. For the second wife, for the first wife, it might be it's
like winning the lottery.
It's like winning the lottery, right? So really, really interesting. Okay, so beneficiary updates. So something as simple as just making sure that you're staying organized and you're and perhaps even funding your living trust, right? For probate stuff, you're actually taking the assets. Just because you form the living trust doesn't mean anything's going to pass properly. You got to make sure you properly fund that. So
we see that a lot. We see that a lot where people do an amazing job of meeting with estate planning attorneys, creating all these wonderful documents, but it is not the law firm's responsibility to make sure that those trusts get funded. Many times people think, oh, okay, great. I did the documents, I got the documents in hand, and everything will follow the path of the documents. But if you don't work with your financial institution to make sure that these trusts get funded, right? So the titling of these different accounts get changed to your trust, then they will not be implemented, and it will and it will follow whether you had a TOD or whatever else, a transfer on death or whatever other direction that tied in with the that account.
Yeah, so it's the commitment on actually seeing through what needs to be done and looking at it on an ongoing basis. Is that a fair summary so far, Rocco?
Ongoing basis is critical, right? We like to tell people every 3 to 5 years, you got to go back through all these different things. We look at people's beneficiaries on an annual basis, but we would tell you, we got to review your estate planning documents. You got to review these things every 3 to 5 years just to make sure that everything's in line with what you think the way that you think it should be, the way it should go.
Excellent. And by the way, you can learn more about Rocco Carriero at RoccoCarriero.com.